इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी भाष्यादेशधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 10, text number 22. Vedanam samvedosmi devanamsmi vasvaha indriyanam manasachasmi bhutanamsmi chetana. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Of the demigods, I am Indra. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living being, I am the living force, knowledge. This is small purport. The difference between matter and spirit is that matter has no consciousness like the living entity. Therefore, this consciousness is supreme and eternal. Consciousness cannot be produced by a combination of matter. So here we are reading all these opulences of the Lord. So Krishna is explaining that how he is the representation in that particular domain about the particular thing. So he's saying here, Vedanam Samavedo Asmi, among all the Vedas, there are four Vedas, Sam, Yajur, Atharv, and Rig Veda. So he's saying, I am the Samaveda. Devanam Asmi Vasvaha. So among all the demigods, there are 330 million demigods. Krishna saying, I am Indra. Vasvaha means the Indra. So Indra is representation of Krishna because he is the king of the heaven. So we see anything, any opulence we see in this material world to its peak, that is the representation of Krishna. So among all the devatas, Indra is the king. Krishna is saying, Devanam Asmi Vasvaha. Among all the devatas, I am Indra. Indriyana Manaschasmi. Among all the senses, I am Manaha, mind. And this is also a little interesting. Generally, we talk about the five senses, Panchakarmendriya or Panchagyanendriya. But here Krishna is saying, Indriyanam Manachasmi. Among all the senses, I am the mind. So actually, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna confirms that the mind is also considered as one of the sense. It's called Manasasthani Indriyani Prakritisthani Karsa. This is the sixth sense. Apart from the five senses, mind is the sixth sense. Krishna is saying that mind is me. Bhuta namasmi chetana, and among all the living entities, I am the consciousness. So there are different Vedas. There is Rig Ved, then Yajurved, Atharved, and then Samved. Rig Ved, all kinds of rituals has been described elaborately in the Rig Ved. And then there is Yajurved. Yaj means worship. So all the process of worship and everything has been given in the Yajurved. And the Samved. Samved means there's some hymns, the songs, which basically glorifies the all great personality and very specifically the Supreme Lord. So that is Samved. Samved is full of glorification of the Supreme Lord. Right. So it is in the Bhagavatam also says, uh, Brahmendra Rudra Marutaha Gayanti Yam Samagaha. So the Bhagavatam confirms that all these great personalities, Brahma, Rudra, Marutaha, Indra, and all of them, Gayanti Yam Samagaha, those who are singing the glories of that Supreme Lord, Samagaha, from the Samaveda, in the Samveda, a lot of singing, the glorification of the Lord is there. So Krishna is saying, I am the Samaveda here. And among the demigods, he is the Indra, who is the king of the heaven, very, very powerful personality. And he is also, Krishna saying, I am Indra among all the demigods. Among the senses, I am the mind. And this mind is one of the sense, is the sixth sense. And Prakriti Sthani Karshati, the living entity is struggling in this material world with the mind. In the Bhagavatam, and this Brahmana, Amdut Brahmana, he says, Nayam jano me sukha dukkha heto na devatatma graha karma kalaha mana param gara mamananti samsar chakram parivartayedyaha. So people are struggling here in this material world, and there might be different explanations of their problems and their struggle. Different people put it in different ways. But this Abdut Brahmana, who is a realized soul, he says, Nayam janome sukha dukkha hetu. My sukh and dukh, the root cause of or the cause of my sukh and dukh is Nayam jano, not these people. Sometimes we try to blame the people. Oh, because of this person I'm into this trouble or this problem. If he was not there, then I would have never experienced this problem. So he's saying Nayam jano, not all these people, they are the cause of my suffering. Sukha dukkha hetu. Na devadatma graha karma kalaha. Not these devatas. Sometimes people say, that some Shani is not happy with you. Shani is also another demigod. So Shani ki drishti, something like that they say. And because of that, all this problem is going on. So he says, Na devatatma. The root cause of all the suffering is not this devatas also. Na graha. Graha means, all these different astrological situations, which is not favorable sometimes. People say, oh, because of that, you are going through this tough phase. So he's saying, na devatata, devatatma, graha, karma. Oh, maybe your karma is not good, and that is why you are suffering. Na graha, na karma, na kala. Your time is not good. Maybe that is why you are suffering. So this Abdut Brahmana is saying, none of those things are the cause of my suffering here in this material world. Then what is the cause? So he says, mana param karana mamananti. The supreme cause of my suffering is my mind. It is a great revelation in the Bhagavatam that mind is the cause of all the suffering. None of those things, all other things are like just external cause, but the supreme cause is our mind. What kind of mind? The mind which is not controlled, which is uncontrolled. Uncontrolled mind, as Krishna says, Bandhur atmatmanastasya enatme vatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartet atme shatruvat. So Krishna confirms in the Bhagavad Gita, if your mind is not controlled, it is your worst enemy, and if it is controlled, then it is your best friend. So this Abdut Brahmana saying, Mana Param Karana Mamananti, the root cause of all the suffering is this mind which is uncontrolled. Uncontrolled mind is compared to an enemy. And you're constantly living with the enemy, how you can be happy? You'll be struggling only. You'll be suffering. That is why Krishna pleads in Bhagavad Gita, Uddaret Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atme Vihi Atmano Bandhur Atme Varipuratmanaha. Krishna says one should try to uddharet, one should try to elevate with the help of the mind. Natmanam avasadayet. Don't degrade. So if his mind is not controlled, if it is uncontrolled, acting like an enemy, it will degrade us. But if it is controlled, we learn to control this mind, then we should utilize this mind to upgrade, to elevate ourselves, especially spiritual elevation. So this is what is this mind is. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadradam tashyaham nigraham manne vayoriv saduskaram. Arjuna also confirms. Arjuna was very, very powerful warrior. He could control even the direction of the wind, which nobody can control. But Arjuna was powerful to do that. So he's saying that I can even control vayoriv saduskaram, which is very difficult to control, but I can control the wind. But To control the mind, I find it very, very difficult. It is chanchalam himana Krishna. It is restless. Pramati balabhadranam. It is restless. It is reasonless. It is ruthless. It is relentless. This is the nature of mind. So that kind of mind is controlled as that kind of mind is considered as the enemy. And that enemy is the root cause of all the suffering. The living entities are struggling. Manasasthani indriyani prakriti sthani garshati. Right. So there is this analogy is given in the scriptures. This body is compared to the chariot. So in the chariot, the passenger is sitting, which is the soul, which is real you. We are sitting as a passenger here. Then there is a driver, which is intelligence, right? So if driver, the intelligence, if it is sharp, it is purified, then it takes you in a right direction. And this mind is compared to the steering wheel. And wherever you want to, you know, mind is steering in the car. So according to the mind, we are steered. It can go to the right and left, and then followed by the senses. So mind is the chief sense. Whatever direction it goes, wherever it is inclined, in that direction, all the senses will be there. So if your mind is not controlled and it would, always go in the direction of sense gratification, all kinds of sinful activities, and then senses supports. Senses are also engaged in all kinds of sense gratificatory activities. But if this mind is controlled with the help of the spiritual intelligence, then so intelligence is like a driver. Driver can always decide where to, uh, you know, use the steer, left or right. So if intelligence is sharpened, if it is spiritual intelligence, then it will go in the right direction always. Then automatically all the senses will be rightly engaged in the service of the Lord. So this is what is this mind is, and Krishna is saying that Indriyana manachasmi, among all the Indriyas, I am the mind. So this mind is a big thing, right? Whole world is struggling, suffering because of this uncontrolled mind. Most of the people doesn't even know that what is the root cause of suffering. But at least we understand, at least theoretically we understand that mind, uncontrolled mind, who's acting like an enemy, is the root cause of all the suffering. Today we see that so much we have advanced, so much of technology and so many things are there. We are able to control the spaceship. But unfortunate reality is we're not able to control our own mind. And that will be considered as a big success than controlling some spaceship, in the sky, which is also a great thing. But the real success is if we can control our mind. So how the mind can be controlled? Can we control the mind? Yes, that is what the Bhagavad Gita is giving us the clue that we can control the mind by dovetailing the mind in the service of the Lord. So our process is not necessarily that try to control all the time, keep thinking that how to control, we will not be able to control it. We'll get exhausted. So the process recommended in Bhagavad Gita is that mind needs some engagement. Mind is compared to a child. Child is always restless, right? He'll just keep running around. And sometimes when some kids they're very notorious, they do all kinds of mischief. And sometimes they do all kinds of hazardous things, which is very, very harmful to them. Child goes sometime, he walk, he crawl, he goes and put his finger into some electric socket. He might, harm himself by doing that. Sometime he goes, touches some surface which seems like very fascinating without realizing that it's fire, it is hot surface. Child goes and touches, he get burnt. So this mind is like that. So many fascinating things we see in this material world. Like a child, he goes and he say, "Okay, let me go and just grab this," and he goes, he try to grab it, but in the course of doing this, he just burn himself, harm himself. So this mind is like that. So then, how to control this mind, this restless child? So sometime, what the mother does, mother brings some good toys and then give it to the child, and child remains engaged playing with the toys because he needs some engagement. It cannot be idle. And they say the idle mind is devil's workshop. We should not leave it idle also. It should be engaged. Now, if the child doesn't have some good way of engagement, then he'll be engaged in all kinds of mischief. So the mind needs the right engagement, and that right engagement has been created through this Krishna consciousness. We can engage our mind in reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and some wonderful, wisdom, and this contemplate, meditate, share with others, and like that, and that is a wonderful engagement for the mind, and it is so much nourishing also. Not only just it is engaged uselessly, but when we engage in Krishna consciousness, we also get spiritually benefited by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Try to hear attentively. If your mind is not there, then we can't hear. Mind is somewhere else, and you're chanting Hare Krishna. So we use the power of the mind to hear the holy name of the Lord, to read the scriptures and to understand the knowledge, and like that, you know. And then we utilize our mind, how we can uh, spread the holy name in so many different ways, some creativity, some innovation. So like that, this restless child can be engaged nicely, and when it is nicely engaged, then it will not create any harm. This is how this mind should be. Also, this mind is compared to like an internet browser, and you see we all use the browser, an internet browser, and then we see that there is a home page, then it has got some history, and there's some favorites, there's some autocomplete, right? So sometimes you see that there is a history in the mind. We carry so many impressions from so many lifetimes. In fact, in this life only we have done so many things, and those impressions are there. It is like the history. So sometimes when we try to practice Krishna consciousness, try to chant Hare Krishna, read Bhagavad Gita, our mind goes into all kinds of past memories, and we keep thinking about the sense gratification, and so many things are there in the mind. So that history is there. Then some favorites are there. Automatically, it goes toward the favorites, some sense gratification, which we we might have done in the past, but now we are trying to focus our mind on Krishna. It is not getting fixed on Krishna. Apart from Krishna, it is thinking of everything else because of some favorites, some history. Sometimes there is auto complete. Like sometimes you type, say on the internet, you start typing Bhagavad Gita. So as soon as you type B, suddenly it will just pop up Bollywood because it has been the history, and it auto completes, and suddenly it will pop up Bollywood. So this is what the mind is. It try to take you in all the direction, but the best part is, the good news is, we can always reconfigure this browser. And this Bhagavad Gita teaches us the technology to reconfigure the browser of the mind. Gradually we can train, we can clear the history, we can change our favorites. This autocomplete also we can change, what it should show. So earlier, every time you are typing Bollywood, now you keep typing Bhagavad Gita, then autocomplete it will learn. And then next time when you type B, it will pop up Bhagavad Gita, something like that. Right. So this is the power of mind. And we should utilize this mind, understanding that how powerful it is. But if it is not controlled, then it can go in the wrong direction, act like an enemy. If it is controlled, then it can act like a great friend. So this is the mind. It's very, very powerful. Dhyayato Vishan Vamsa Sangaste Supajayate. Where we do the dhyan, where do we do the contemplation, where our mind is contemplating, accordingly it will develop some attachment. So if we are always contemplating about sense gratification, then it will develop the attachment for sense gratification. But if we can practice consciously to always contemplate on Krishna, through chanting the holy name, reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, talking about Krishna, that contemplation, if we practice, then we'll develop the attachments for Krishna. So, this is how this mind is so powerful. The story of this lady who comes to the doctor, and this she was in a very panicking situation. She comes and said, "Doctor, doctor, there is a frog in my belly. You know, And then doctor was wondering like how there can be a frog in the belly of someone. Doctor tried to, explain, no, no, it might be something else. So no, I'm telling, I'm like 100% sure that there's a frog in the belly. And like that, please, you operate me, take out this frog and all of that. So doctor understood that there's not a, this problem is not about a frog in the belly, but this problem is about her mind. She's so convinced in her mind that there's a frog in the belly. So I had to solve this. So doctor says, oh yeah, you're right. Looks like there is a frog in your belly. So we have to operate you, and they scheduled that operation. So doctor, and the lady came and then doctor gave the anesthesia and she was unconscious lying there. And doctor, did some fake little cut and some stitching to, show her that, we had done that operation and all that. And in the meantime, doctor asks one of the assistant to go and find one frog and bring that frog. So this doctor's assistant went out, got a frog, put in one, transparent cover, fill some water, and in that he put one small frog, and like that. And when this lady came out, from that consciousness, she came to the consciousness. Then doctor says, "Congratulations, you are right. There was a frog, and here is a frog. Look at this." And we were taken out, and this lady was so happy. She was so thankful. They said, "Doctor, you are so nice, so wonderful. Nobody was listening me. Nobody was, uh, uh, agreeing on this. You are such a nice person." And then you did. Thank you, thank you. And then she left. And this assistant was very amazed and congratulating the doctor. And doctor, you know what a wonderful way you that found out to solve this problem of the mind. And they were very happy. And then after 3 days, again this lady comes. And again she was in the same panicking mode. She said, "Doctor, you know what? I realized that this frog has some babies which you left in my body, right, in my tummy, like that." So anyway, it's a little funny story, but we understand that how this mind, if it is not controlled, if it is convinced about some wrong things, some illusory things, then it can take you in a different direction. This is the power of this mind. So this mind can be explained by this MIND, the four activities it does. M stands for it magnify. It magnifies the problem. Sometimes there is a small problem, but if your mind is not controlled, if it is not trained, it magnifies to the extent beyond the proportion. And most of the cases, this is what happens, right? But Bhagavad Gita teaches us, it trains us, it gives us the fresh perspective. That is why these devotees, they're not fearful of the problem. There are problems in the devotee's life also, but they does not magnify it. Na kutashana bhyati Narayana Parasarve Nakudashana Vyati. One who is a devotee, surrendered to the Supreme Lord, then he is not fearful of these problems because he knows he has the right perspective. So this mind, M stands for it magnifies. I in the mind, I is intensify. It is keep inventing so many ideas, so many things, and like that. And N stand for negative. So much negative thoughts comes. There's one survey was done. There's under few thousand thoughts every day. In fact, the 77% of thoughts are negative thoughts in a common man's mind. Right. So this mind is a thought factory and it keeps generating, producing the negative thoughts. So it magnifies, it intensify, it it generates the negative thoughts. And then mind is always constantly distracted. D is for distraction. Right. So this is what is the mind is. Magnify, intensify, negative, and distraction. So we heard this story of this lady. She just magnified the problem. There might be some problem, but she just inventing some ideas and magnifying the problem, and then she's convinced about that problem. And this is negative, and she's troubled, and like that. So this Bhagavad Gita offers a very, very fresh perspective. There's a perspective. If there is a problem, don't worry. Problem is not bad. We are taught from the very beginning that problems are bad. But then Bhagavad Gita teaches us that problems are not bad. It can become a stepping stone for your progress. So Gita teaches us the formula how to turn problem into progress. It is an opportunity for devotee. Devotee takes all these problems as an opportunity to intensify his dependence, his remembrance of the Lord. So then he doesn't see that it's a problem. It is an opportunity for progress. So this is how we can gradually train this mind and then elevate ourselves. As Krishna is saying here, so I am the mind. Indriyani manachasmi. So this is Indriya, the mind. And then the last thing he says, Bhutana masmi chetanaha. So among all the living entities, I am the Chetana. Chetana means I'm the consciousness. So this consciousness is something very special, is the symptom of the soul. And then the consciousness only which makes us animate, which makes us attractive. Sometimes, we see some beautiful people and we get fascinated, we get attracted. But if the same person dies, and if there's no consciousness, if soul leaves the body, then same attractive person will not be able to even look. It becomes scary. People get scared. They're fearful of dead bodies. You can sit with the dead body, and after a while, it start stinging also. So like that. So what makes us attractive is consciousness. Excuse me. So Krishna is saying that I am that consciousness. I am that Chaitanya. So like that, whatever we see, anything which is attractive in this material world is the opulence of the Lord. So this consciousness is making a living entity very, very attractive, very innovative, very creative, and that is Krishna. So like that, these are some of the opulences which has been described here. We shall discuss more opulences in other future verses. Anybody has any question? You can unmute yourself and ask the question if you have any. There's no question, then we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.